Sunday Diagbon flyover, the ICT hub, Senator Oluremi Tinubu's hospital, Dr. Ibrahim Sulu Gambari flyover, and Sugar Factory Film Studio.
Wow. Yeah, those are a collection of projects, that signposts Malam Abdurrahman Abdurazak's, tenure in the last 5 or 6 years. We are going to 6 years right now. And I think those projects are quite significant in terms of the impact it's going to bring into the state. I'm kind of excited with because I witnessed some of the visitation by the First Lady, the one at the Innovations Hub. I got to look around at that place. Wow, and so it's something very, very big. You were talking, and while there, I engaged the GM of the place. I've forgotten the name. Yeah, we engaged him in a kind of discussion on what it's all about, and
exactly.
It blew my mind. In fact, he told me that where the world is going now, all these traditional occupation and vocations are going into extinction. You're talking of law, you're talking of medicine, engineering, and all those things. People are not talking about them anymore. People have moved on to AI, and that we are talking of a vocation that can take in as many as you can produce. So that facility is there to train people in collaboration with KWASU. So apart from the state government being part of being a facilitator, it's equally a federal government and I think one private sector participation. So we are talking of something potentially huge for the entire region, not just Kwara State alone. So it's very exciting. And we talk of this Tunde Idiagbon bridge, because I've been wondering why, the bridge, hasn't been put to use for a very long time. And, there has been a lot of speculations here and there and things like that. And I think we have spoken about it here, that maybe one or two issues are wrong with it or no. But the state government keeps on assuring us that there is nothing wrong with it. And, with that commissioning, I think that should put to rest any speculation whatsoever as to the viability of that bridge. And of course, you have the flyover in Unity. It's something, So, what you get this sense, when almost a year ago, thereabout, is it more than a year ago, when Rafiu Ajakaye, the spokesman of the governor, approached journalists, we had a kind of tete-a-tete, and there was this idea he just threw at us, it gives us the mindset of the kind of person that Governor Abdurazak is. He's a kind of a slow, he's not given to talking much, but he just allows what he does, to hit you, wham, suddenly. So suddenly, you have Ilorin that looks like an ancient town transformed into a megacity, all of a sudden, with all these signature projects happening here and there, So, by and large, you kind of see a man who is so much in a hurry without letting you know, what he's trying to do, and it's quite salutary, really, because when you look at all those things, the impression it gives you is that you are having a kind of modern cosmopolitan urban city right in the heart of the north central of Nigeria and repositioning the state to what it used to be in those days, because Kwara State used to be the most advanced, state in the north. I'm talking of the entire north, all the 19 states of the north. When you talk of in terms of human capital development, you talk of infrastructure, you talk of a lot of his education. Kwara used to be top notch. You understand? Even competing with other states in the south like Lagos, and in terms of some parameters. So what the man has brought back, is those days where Kwara used to be Kwara, and we are really hoping that this will, further. I encourage other governors to follow suit.
Well, just look like my concern is on the two bridges, the flyover at Unity and this one here. And then because you can see that there are barricades to, scare away or put away, big vehicles flying the bridge and all. Will that not cause, a bit of, traffic jam in the case that those vehicles cannot cannot pass over the bridge?
Yeah, it is, what it simply tells you is that it is not an all-purpose overhead bridge. It is not an all-purpose overhead bridge. It's meant for lighter vehicles. you know, if you look at it, a few bridges can, take the volume of, that is, take the weight of heavy duty trucks. You understand? And of course, again, there are so many issues that came up while that bridge was being constructed. Considering the quality of people who built it. But I keep on saying that rather than blame Abdulrazak, the governor, I would rather see another positive thing that he did with that bridge. It was purely an indigenous effort. Localized. I'm not just talking of, they are of Nigerian engineering, but he localized the workforce, he localized the consultants, he localized, the hiring of the machinery. So he did it as a way of empowering local technicians and engineers. You understand? I'm more of this progressive, wealth spreading kind of thing. So it's always difficult for me to blame, a CEO for trying to empower the local economy. Fayose might be you might say a lot of things about Fayose, former governor of Ekiti State, but in his first tenure, most of his projects were done by local people. That was why he had this hold on them. You understand? So you see, the essence of building infrastructure is not just to improve the infrastructure stock of the state, to build resilience. It is equally to equip and, empower people who live in that state. So that is why it will be very difficult for me to make any aspersion on that bridge. You understand? Except you come up with something essentially superior, in argument.
All right, away from that to other stories this morning.
And this one is on APC. APC expels Arek Beshola over alleged anti-party activities. And this is Arek Beshola, former Minister of Interior and ex-governor of Osun State, who led Osun for 2 terms, was accused of breaching Article 21 of the APC Constitution, which outlines disciplinary measures for members.
Yeah, that's quite conflicting, really, because I read it somewhere that he longer resigned from the APC. Kind of, I don't know which one is true now, but all the same, you see, I saw it coming, considering the fact that there has been a lot of, a tussle between Arek Beshola and, of course, the numero uno of the party, who happens to be the president of, and running into the election that brought in the current governor. There has been talks about a lot of anti-party activities, talking against the party and even working for opposition. There has been a lot of talk about that. So at this point, you can always expect something like this. But you see, this is not the end, because I don't know whether you've encountered Arek Beshola. Arek Beshola is dynamite, when it comes to politics. We're talking of practical politics, and a man that has a very strong ethical, principled background.
And is that kind of personality the APC want to lose in Osun State, knowing fully well that
exactly.
Governor Adeleke will seek re-election?
Oh, definitely. And apart from that, don't forget that you have an El Rufai there too. That's another very cantankerous, stormy patrol. That one is on the one hand decimating the APC in the north, and you have another one down south here. And the thing about Aregbe is that, he has a certain hold on Lagos, like the Alimosho axis. People say that it's like a godfather, it's like a cult figure there. You understand? I live in Alimosho, for some time, and I know what Aregbe Shola is like. And Aregbe Shola equally has a kind of popularity within the so-called Marxist progressive, elite in the country. You understand? So he's not the kind of man that things like this can jolt. So we are not seeing the end of this.
Oh yes, we're not seeing, because we have former governor who served 1 term and now a minister. That's Honorable Minister Adeyemi Oyetola, who probably might want to come back for a 2nd term. Okay. And then we have Governor Adeleke, who is the incumbent governor, and then he'll definitely wants to seek re-election.
Definitely.
And is it looking like Adeyemi Oyetola, if he decides to go, he's the only one left to swim in the pond of big fish?
Well, I don't know what is going to play. You see, the thing about politics is that at this point, you don't even know how to make predictions. You don't know exactly where it's going to swing. Now, if you recall, that's the thing about politicians are very strange people. If you recall Omishore, that first Oyetola said first tenure where it appeared, when you look the first run of the election.
Yes, the first ballot, yeah.
Yeah, the current governor won. And they had to do a runoff, or they said it was inconclusive, but at that time PDP was leading. Then it now rested on Omishore to decide where the Ife vote was going. You understand? And Omishore strangely decided to pitch it with APC. You understand? With Oyetola. You understand? That's the thing about politicians. You don't know exactly where their interest lies. You understand? So what if Adegbeshola thinks he can have a go with an Accord party or any other party thereabout, on his own, become, grasp, get a hold of, it's just like Kwankwaso has Kano State. What if he decide to go solo? You understand? And that is the thing, about him. Adegbeshola is a household name in Osun State. He has legacy projects that you can still speak of. Yeah, he had a bit of controversy, but he actually was in absolute control of that state, when he held sway. So we don't know exactly what is going to happen, really. I can't sit here and make prediction, but maybe when it gets close to the election, where we know exactly who is aligning with whom, and yeah.
All right. Lastly on that, it's looking like that. Nasir El-Rufai, former governor of Kaduna State, might exit the APC. And Adegbeshola might exit this. Okay, it's been expelled from the party. Do you think that's there's a loss to the APC? Because if you look at it, how much of power can you say these two gentlemen, these two, former governors, carry when it comes to the northern Nigeria and then Adegbeshola in southwest Nigeria? Probably they're just popular in their states alone, not across the region.
No. You see, the thing about politics is about, as much as it's of interest, it's about loyalty too. You understand? And it's about how much of a weight do you carry? Are you a newsmaker? Those are the things that determine how strong you are as a politician. You understand? An El-Rufai in the north is a big deal, especially in the core northwest Nigeria. It's a big deal. He connects easily with a lot of political elites in the north. They see him as a champion of their cause. You understand? Then, of course, Adegbeshola is almost an opposite mirror. That is a mirror image, except that Adegbeshola is more of a calculated. Well, let me put it this way. I think he's more civil in his, his delivery to, on issues. He's more, Then of course, these are heavyweights in the APC. They were part of the APCs when it started. They were founding fathers of APC. So yes, definitely it's going to be a very big problem, for them to handle. And especially if they have a coordinated coalition. What you are going to have is, APC will definitely be dealt a body blow. I don't know whether it will be fatal, but it will be dealt a body blow,
All right, well, let's move away from that and onto this conversation about the ECOWAS. Mali, Burkina Faso, and Niger officially exit bloc on Wednesday from ECOWAS.
Wow. You see, the implication is several. It has both cultural, historical, diplomatic, international, economic, so many. If I may ask you, I don't know whether you've heard of this expression, okay, Mali, in Ilorin here. Yeah, okay, Mali is well spoken. It's a particular area in Ilorin. What it actually means is the Malians' quarter. That was where the Malians lived. Those were one of the settlers in Ilorin. You understand? And Mali happens to be one of those people going away. So we are talking of a historical, cultural connection to Ilorin itself in north central Nigeria. Then when you talk of the Sangia system, Makranta law, that is what has been thoroughly bastardized into this Almajiri menace that is all over the places. You understand? It actually came from Timbuktu. scholars, who just go there, dedicate their life to studying Islamic, laws, tradition, and things like that, and religion. You understand? It was exported. It came from there. So what we are talking about at the cultural religious level, that is the hold, it has on Nigeria. In fact, as a matter of fact, Professor Rashid Allah, did a book. I think there is a book on, where he established the Malian influence, in Ilorin. You understand? So that is at the cultural religious level. Then you now move to, the diplomatic, the economic, So of course, in terms of trade, there is a deficit. That is they tend to gain more from Nigeria than we in terms of trade. Yes, you understand. But you see, being a northern neighbor, it is like a kind of buffer, from keeping away tendencies that might hurt the country. And it's always good that you are in good relationship with them. Now, when the combination of Mali, Burkina Faso, Niger now form a block, and it appears as if they have, they are going to be exiting. I think I read the press release of ECOWAS saying that that they have conceded to them, they can leave. But they should normalize. The kind of relationship we've enjoyed as African brothers should continue. I don't know how well this is going to be, because you see, in breaking away, they are aligning with a new, different geopolitical power. You understand? If it is not in the best interest of that geopolitical power, to continue relating with us in this manner, it
won't happen.
It might not happen. As I speak to you, I have an ECOWAS laissez-passer. That is the passport, ECOWAS passports. I have it. So what it means is that about 3 countries is no longer accessible to me. That is at the level of international travel. So let's just hope it's just formality that they will look at the long relationship we've had. But I've just given you an idea of what it's like when we leave. When those 3 countries exit from Nigeria, exit from ECOWAS.
All right. How much of intervention do you think the African Union should have done in probably?
There is absolutely nothing they could have done. Nothing at all. Because I think it was more of, if you look at the Burkina Faso, there is this mantra that has been by Traoré, sovereignty, something like that. That is sovereignty in every aspect of their life. Food sovereignty, economic sovereignty, and things like that. And you look at the kind of project he's been able to build, he's been able to do in his state. You understand? I doubt if that would have been possible.
Okay.
If he was still in ECOWAS.
All right, it's still within the African continent. How much of intervention do you think African leaders are having for the current situation uprising in DR Congo?
You see, that is one of the problems we are talking about. You see, the Africans can't even manage that small crisis. You understand? And you now have a situation where you have a better option as a country. Let's not kid ourselves. What is happening in Congo is economic war. It's about mineral resources. It's as simple as that. And let me put it plainly as I can. This smartphone that you carry, about 30 or 40% of it is from lithium and other minerals that you find in Congo. In fact, that you have a piece of Congo in every smartphone in the world. You understand? That is how lucrative that it's one of the richest in mineral resources. It's one of the richest countries in mineral resources. And you have a lot of mercenaries who are out to get all those things. So forget all this grandstanding that these Western powers, about proper procedure and things like that. Most of all those resources, they want it cheap. They want it cheap. And how do you get it cheaply? Is by making sure there is displacement, there is no process in place. So it is cheaper for them to fund wars. It is cheaper for them to allow all these militaries to run amok. So they can get all the resources as much as they want. So African Union can't even come together to save a brother. So when you now see 3 countries deciding that let us take our fate in our hands, how much of the crisis do you hear in all these countries since they decided to go their separate ways? So you see, it is very attractive to pull out of this coalition that appears to be giving you nothing. That was what US did. US pulled out. It's pulling out of all these major coalitions they are having because they can't be funding them and they are not getting any result. You understand? So it's like I said, Trump is a businessman. Traore, this other guy in Mali and his Nigerian company, they are good businessmen. They are thinking their country first. And I think Nigeria too should stop this big brother. We can be a big brother when we think about ourselves first.
Do you think that this would make other African countries want to pull out as well?
You see, it is becoming very popular. This nationalistic thing, tendency to protect your borders first, it's becoming very, very popular. You understand? As much as we like to think expansively, but you see, you can only think when you are alive. You see, when your country is decimated, there is no thinking. It's about pure survival. You understand? So, I think we should re-examine our priorities, honestly.
All right, still within the Congo, if you look at that, it's more or less like the rebels are, threatening M23. They're threatening to, take over the capital and moving around. There's so much chaos, going on there. And again, is it looking like there is an intervention, from Africa? Because we're hearing stories of foreign mercenaries, trying to come in and restore order and all when we have Africa Union on the continent. Would this not, just like my colleague asked you, would this not be on a good ground for so many other African countries to say, you know what, when we needed our African brothers the most, they were not there for us?
Exactly. Yeah, of course they can. They can't decide to do that. But you see, the war in Congo has lingered for far too long. You understand? And we are having fewer and fewer African statesmen. That is another tragedy. You understand? The likes of the Obasanjos, Kwame Nkrumah, they are all. In fact, Kwame Nkrumah they are all. Those ones
Patrice
are already
Lumumba,
gone. Those ones are gone. You see, the only man that has that, a continental appeal right now that I can think of is probably Obasanjo. You understand? And I know of a time, when the man went there. I don't know whether the story is apocryphal, but it was told to me by somebody very reliable. There was a time that Obasanjo went there, and that was when they had a kind of peace. He called all of them and said, look, we've been doing all this diplomatic, and they said Obasanjo put his hand in his pocket, brought out kola nut, and shared it among the factions. Now, okay, take this kola nut if you know you are for peace. The moment you take this and you leave this place to go and foment war, then you are going to have problem. They all took the kola nut and voila. There was... So, you see, the person telling me the story happened to be my editor, in National Mirror. And she had the story when she was in San Francisco Chronicles, when she went for a kind of a fellowship there. She had it from a white man. So she related, said they respect Obasanjo so much. That is, where do we have that kind of statesman anymore? We don't have them anymore. So that is one of the tragedies of the Congo crisis, one of the tragedies of Africa. What is happening in Congo is a big tragedy to Africa. Yes, because the moment they are able to decimate that country, it means every country can be taken. It's as simple as that. The moment they get their acts together. That is it.
Okay.
Let's move on to another story. This time, the Joint Admissions and Matriculations Board, JAMB, has announced that it will not be conducting admissions, for law programs in 8 universities during the 2025 Unified Tertiary Matriculation Examination. Sadly, Kwara State University, Malete, is part of it.
Unfortunately. And here I'm just falling in love with that school, but given the kind of strides they've been making in terms of growing infrastructure and growing scholarship. It is quite sad, really. I will really need to look at, because that, I know they have been on this accreditation thing for a very long time, and especially with the current governor in place, he's been doing a lot to ensure that all those things, all this problem has resolved. He's been doing a lot. I know that personally. He's been talking, when it comes to education, what Abdurrahman Abdulrazak has been doing in the areas of education is massive. And he should be commended for that. But, I think the decision came from what the law school decided. The law school, de-accredited them. And that means that they haven't been able to meet up with certain criteria. And if I may hazard a guess, I think it more than likely has to do with manpower. You know, with all this Jackpot syndrome that you have all over the places, and the federal universities already stretched to a limit. You know, getting the state government, the state universities and private universities getting quality hands, you know, to run their faculties is going to be, it's Herculean. In fact, in most instances, when they come for the accreditation, what you have happening is that you have, you know, staffers of federal universities within the state going there to pose as, you know, as a consultants for them, you know, so that they can have the, you know, you know, that is a temporary accreditation for all those courses. So that is what you have. You see them sharing human resource persons, you know, to get the accreditation. Then after then, you know, everything.
Well, as you know, state governments, this is not just about Kwara State University alone, but as state governments made, you know, the education sector lucrative, looking through what you know, the general body ASU, you know, goes through, and then if you compare on remuneration, you will see that those at the federal level probably might be earning far higher than
they earn far
higher than that of you know, state university lecturers and all. How lucrative? What is in for? I beg to differ. I think I've seen a few people who are interested in lecturing but want to hold back because, you know, they say, yeah, I can go into that you know, sector and go and suffer and go and do no. So what do they need to put in place to actually attract a lot of you know, students who are graduated and probably want to return back to their campuses and give back?
Okay. Number one, you see, the first thing that you need to consider is the quality of people you hire. That is it. See, look, you see, when it comes to this peer review thing in the academic sector, what they look at is not the quality of your paper, the quality of the person who supervised you. It's very, very important. You know, and I'll give you a very good example. You know, there was a time when University of Ilorin was treated as a pariah among the academic community, not just in Nigeria, but outside Nigeria. You know, why was that? The structures are there now, the facilities are there, but when you bring that in pari passu with the fact that about very powerful, you know, very strong members of the academic community from that university were brutally yanked off from that university, it affected the image thing. You understand? So it's about, you see, university system is about mentoring. You understand? So when you don't have a proper mentor, so what is the product? Also, how good is the product? So that is one of the issues that we have. Getting quality people, the kind of remuneration you are going to put in place, the kind of structure you are going to put in place, all those things are important in attracting people to come.
All right. Thank you, Nicholas. Because of time, this is how far we can go this morning. We're sure to be back tomorrow to your ears again with fresh stories to talk on and touch on. And that's going to be from 8 to 8:30 tomorrow. Thank you a lot, Nicholas. But before we go, United States President Trump said he's stopping you know, funding for you know, HIV and AIDS in Nigeria. Is this another big blow to the country?
Yeah.
What do we do next? Where do we face?
Well, we have to look inwards. That is the thing. You see, the United States government did that because, you see, do you think they are fools? They are not idiots. You understand? You see, look, they cannot be funding you, and they see how lavishly you spend money. A senator, the other day we were talking about that you were giving lawmakers 200 million naira, and there are people that have HIV for just recharge cards. You understand? And giving the speaker 280 million. 280 million. You think they don't read all those things? The Library of the Congress is the most equipped resource, you know, educational, you know, information resource, you know, institution in the world. If you publish anything now or put it on this thing, it's there in the United. So they read all those things. These guys are on top of everything. So Nigeria does not strike them as a very serious country. So why would they be funding you? Take care of your people. If you are buoyant enough to pay 200 million naira to lawmakers for recharge card, then what is antiretroviral drugs? That is even subsidized anyway from pharmaceuticals. That's
anyways. You know? Nicholas, we're back tomorrow. 8:30.
Thank you very much.
My name is Adeyemi. Thank you for joining us.